In this video we're going to look at Zai Beastmaster, and we're going to look at how Secret plays in a game where they're heavily outdrafted against NaVi. Secret went for this Invoker as mid laner, but then they got last pick brooded, and they have no hero who can really deal with brood properly. The closest thing they have is this off-lane Beastmaster, who they're now moving towards mid. And in the past, Beastmaster used to be a pretty decent laner against Broodmother, because the axes did physical damage, but in recent patch it was changed to magical damage, which in general in most situations is a buff, because most units have less magical resistance than they have physical resistance. But the Spiderlings in particular have a lot of magic resistance. They have 40% magic resistance, but they have no armor, so the axes used to be really strong against them, but now they're no longer nearly as strong. And we're going to see that Zai is going to struggle somewhat in this lane, but it's still much better than having Invoker in the mid lane, because Invoker just gets completely run over by Brood. That's a matchup that's completely unplayable. So even though Broodmother is a very strong hero against Beastmaster in lane, at the first couple of levels, Beastmaster does really well. Beastmaster with this item build, he has 74 damage, this Broodmother has 48 damage. You can very easily outlast it, this Broodmother, as long as she doesn't have her spiders up yet. So that is what Zai is going to do. He's going to try to win this first level 2 as hard as possible, so that later on the lane remains playable for a longer period of time. Against Brood, the regular build-up of Call the Wild and Inner Beast doesn't do anything. The Brood can easily eat your boars and just run over you. With the axes, at least you have a fighting chance, so you have to skill up the axes, and skilling axes and Inner Beast aura is no longer viable. It used to be the build for a while, but nowadays Call the Wild is just too important to skill up. You definitely need this ability to be maxed fairly soon, so it's going to skill axes and Call the Wild. And of course it's an extremely mana intensive build, so he's went for Soul Ring as his first big item, and he's also shipping himself out additional regen. Very important, especially in lanes where you're struggling, because the Soul Ring solves your mana issues, but it only offers 2.25 HP regen. That's not nearly enough to make up for all the HP you're losing by using Soul Ring. So very important to keep that health total up, and this allows him to do some jungle camps on the side, because at this point the Broodmother has too big of a clump of spiders to really contest her if your lane is so far forward. So you really can only go to this wave if you're close to the tower right now. And here we see what we talked about earlier, that the Broodmother can easily just eat this boar. This boar has no resistance against these spiders, has no damage block, whereas with Beastmaster, a melee hero, at least gets 8 damage block on average. Actually against the spider rights it's less than that, because you only have 50% chance of blocking. But yeah, you at least have some sort of resistance, you have some armor, whereas the boars are completely helpless and just get run on very easily. So we're just going to try to sit on this tower, do this medium camp in the meanwhile, and just to try to use your axes to get something out of the lane. But you see Broodmother can easily deny those creeps. But so far he's played the lane quite well. He's of course ahead in last hits. Of course some of these are Spiderlings, but if you look at the net worth, he's actually still in the lead. So Broodmother hasn't quite yet had enough time to make use of her spiders. Of course Broodmother also has to ship herself out some extra regen to be able to afford her spawn Spiderlings, which is a very expensive ability, because that's a low cooldown. So far Beastmaster is still doing well, but there's a high chance of just being run down by this Broodmother as soon as he has a strong army up. After the Soul Ring, he went for Chainmail, very important, because Broodmother of course deals mostly physical damage, so extra armor is really important, and Phase Boost in general, a really strong item on Beastmaster, gives you extra mobility and armor, which is really important, and also just damage item, which synergizes well with your Inner Beast aura they're going to get later on. You see him being run down here, Broodmother going for him. Broodmother is level 6, so she's now ahead in the lane, but with help of the tower here, Zai manages to barely survive here and can now limp back to base. And he's also gone for infused raindrops, which help him just survive these kill attempts. And Also, just the extra mana region really helps, because spamming out axes and you call them wild is very, very mana hungry. Beastmaster is level 6 and he finds a haste rune, so now he's gonna want to look for this Broodmother. He sees her there briefly and goes for her. He knows she's at this camp here, but can't quite find her. She gets in and out of vision here. And the haste rune is about to run out. This invisible rune is not actually active. That's a bug here. And he finally goes for this roar, but Broodmother can just run away here. It's not enough damage coming out of this Beastmaster here to finish off this Brood. And so he wastes his ultimate, not really getting anything done. See, now his support's coming in here. They want to go on this Beastmaster. Of course, it doesn't have a roar now. And just run him down. And that's a nice stun from our Grimstoke and a kill on this Beastmaster. But meanwhile, actually the other lanes are doing alright. We see this Trillion now in the bottom lane. Chen is getting some nice creeps. And Yapso is also doing fine. He's level 4.5. That's pretty good for the stage of the game. And this Ricky is doing pretty poorly. Compared to this Invoker, just a full level behind. However, the other core on Secret, Matomo is doing quite poorly. If you look at the net worth here, he's pretty far behind, and this Centaur just completely stomped the top lane and is the highest net worth hero in the game right now. And while this does give NaVi a net worth lead right now, at least a slight one, the Centaur is not really a hero who can force that much if he's ahead on farm. So what he's going to want to do now on the Centaur is just create space for the other two cores to really come online, especially this Ricky who's been struggling. So both teams have their position 1 struggling and being under-farmed. In the meantime, the Broodmother, of course, is taking the mid-tier 1 tower. There's something that always happens, basically, if you play against Broodmother. So now we kind of have to leave that lane a little bit. So the threat makes sort of play at top. They go on this Shadow Demon, and he's going to be easily killed. Doesn't have to use the roar for this. Very important to be able to judge when you actually need a roar for a kill, but here was quite clear that this is going to be a kill regardless. And so now he's just returning to the mid lane. You want to sort of return to the mid lane when it's pushing into the tier 2 tower. It's inevitable that you lose a tier 1 tower against Brood, but you want to keep that tier 2 tower alive as long as possible. As long as this tower is alive, this helps you secure this camp, helps you secure a triangle, because once you lose that tower, your whole map opens up a lot more and it becomes a lot more difficult to stop this Brood from farming. The Beastmaster has received the Poor Man's Shield, which is very important, makes him a lot more tanky against the Spiderlings. The Spider is now moving in, but a nice roar saves Beastmaster well. Don't forget that Brahmin Roar gives you extra movement speed and phasing movement speed. So he gets this kill with the axes barely, and with the response from his team, they save Beastmaster and actually get a kill in return. So very nice fight here for Secret. And meanwhile, Mato is just recovering, trying to slowly inch his way up on the net worth chart. And normally you'd see Wraith Kings just going straight for Radiance, but here Mato has identified this is not a game where you can go for Radiance. If you just go for Radiance, you're just going to lose all map control, and this Wraith King is going to be a non-factor in this game for too long. So he's gone instead for this Armlet, which allows him to fight early and actually contribute. And the thing about Wraith King is, with your skeletons, you actually farm quite fast if you don't go for something like a Radiance. So it's okay to go for something a bit more of a fighting item. Although, of course, in an ideal game, you want to go for that Radiance, you want to become the most farmed hero on the map. But against this kind of very aggressive lineup, with Ricky and Broodmother, two heroes that peak very early, it's just important to be able to fight early and not get overrun. Because as long as you just get into the mid lane in an okay shape, you're actually going to win this game. This Broodmother is really, really scary right now because no one can really deal with their spiders very effectively. No one can really stop the spider too well. But once they get into the later stages of the game, once they get some items on their course, they can actually win this game. And Broodmother being a bit cocky here, playing on her own, and the entire Secret team was here, and she gets punished, so they kill her and some of her spiders. It's always important to get these kind of kills when you can. And Chen also recalling Nisha to the bottom lane to try to deny that tower, but doesn't actually work out. Normally in Beastmaster, the first major item you go for is a Dominator or a Necro, but in this game you don't really want to go for that. And the reason for that is that the Broodmother can easily just kill those units. You can see what she's doing to these boars, and your Necro units are not going to fare much better. And Broodmother doesn't care if like one of her spiders takes the last will damage from the melee Necro book units. That's completely irrelevant. And Dominator units also just can easily be killed. So it's not the greatest game for these kinds of items. What you really want is just items that help your team survive. And they've identified that they're up against a very, very strongly physical damage focused lineup. Broodmother does almost all physical damage. Ricky is almost all physical damage. And sure, there's going to be some magic damage from like the Shadow Demon poison stacks and so on, and like the double edge. But the vast majority of damage is going to come out from the Radiant team. It's going to be physical, so armor items like a Vlads are super strong, and so they have double auras here with the Vlads on Beastmaster, and then also the buckler on Chen, giving them a lot of armor. They also have a bunch of other armor items. They have shadows here on this Tusk with some armor. This Invoker is actually going to go for a Solar Crest, very strong armor item of course as well. And Beastmaster also going here for a Medallion at least, and also later also going to be going into a Solar Crest. So Secret have identified what we need to do in this game is just bulk up on armor. As long as you just have a lot of armor, we can win these team fights. We can just not die, and we have a lot of heal coming out from Chen with his mech and his ultimates, and also the lifesteal coming out of Wraith King, as well as of course that Vlad's just allows them to sustain those fights if they don't get killed by that physical damage, and then they can just outlast the enemy team. And that's the strategy they're going for in terms of the itemization. And so that's where we see this Vlad's. We saw him actually queue up a Crimson Guard at the start, and Crimson Guard is like a nice item, also against physical damage obviously. Help us against the spiders tremendously. But the thing is, by the time you get to Crimson Guard, the spiders are no longer really the main problem. The damage block is not actually super strong against Broodmother, because Broodmother actually has a lot of damage with her ultimate. Ricky also does a lot of damage with his backstab damage per hit, and so this damage block is not actually that great against the Radiant team. Obviously Crimson Guard still is a decent item here, but it kind of makes sense to go for this Solar Crest. Also just they have these frontliners, they have Beastmaster, and they have most important of course the Wraith King. As long as you just keep those frontliners alive with those Solar Crests, you can easily weather the storm here and win those team fights. So now Secret have identified a win condition. They just need to get all the armor items in the world, and as soon as they get that, they can win the fight. So to do that, you need to buy some time, and you do this by split pushing the lanes that the enemy team are not pushing. They saw Center pushing the top lane, so now Beastmaster is going to push the bottom lane, but he gets smoke ganked and killed. But this is honestly fine. There's 4 heroes now down here, including the enemy carry, so it's actually fine to die here. 4-man smoke gank, killing wheel, split pushing, that's perfectly fine. Now they're all down here. They can't really get anything down here. They have Ricky running into this Chen, and he's going to try to get an easy kill here, but this Chen is actually quite tanky. He has more than 20 armor, so Chen actually easily survives, and the Secret team comes to the rescue, and now they want to take this fight, and Ult gets used, and everything is getting low here, but Secret are incredibly tanky with this armor set already paying off, but still it's not quite enough. They don't quite have enough items yet, so while they survive for a surprisingly long amount of time, they still in the end get run down, and they lose 2 heroes and only kill 1 support in return. So a good fight there for NaVi. And one of the reasons that Secret is so strong is that you can see everyone is doing their job. People are itemizing here for their team to win. They're not itemizing based on what the hero wants to do or something like that. They're doing what the game demands. A lot of people would just go for the standard kind of item builds. They would go for Dominator. They would go for Necro on Beastmaster. They would get the sort of standard Invoker kind of items. But no, this Invoker is not going for the standard item build. He's gone for a 4-staff for mobility and a Solar Crest. This is not items you usually see on an Invoker in any sort of position. But he's just gone for this because that's what the team needs. That's what Captain Puppey says, that we need this armor, we just need these Solar Crests, and we need all the armor we can get, and then we can win the fights. So that's what they're going for. And in this team fight, you can see this working out. They're just not really dying here. Like this Broodmother uses a BKB. They have so much physical damage coming out, but just nothing on Secret is dying. These heroes just have so much armor. Like everyone on Secret has like 20 armor at least. Just no one is dying here. They kill 2 heroes here, losing absolutely nothing, and they can just keep going because they have all the sustain with the Wraith King aura and with the Vlads and the Gen aura and the mech and everything. They can just keep going. They can just keep pushing, and nothing is dying. The only thing dying is this tower, and now Secret can just go up there and go tackle the tier 1 tower at top. Just look at this Beastmaster. He has 25 armor. He's just not dying. It's like he took almost no damage from that tower. And now, even though they're outpicked, even though on paper the NaVi heroes counter the Secret heroes, Secret is still in the driving seat because they made up for that draft disadvantage by just building the right kind of items and just countering the lack of non-physical damage on the NaVi lineup. And they get a very nice initiation here, get 2 kills, and now they can go for more. So push train is coming in onto that high ground. As Beastmaster, you're incredibly tanky with that 30 armor. You can just go in there and get buffed up by the rest of the team. But now the buyback's coming out. They want to retreat here and fall back. We see Puppey's Chen being focused, but like this Chen has 30 armor. He also has this Mjolnir buff on him, so he's not dying. And but now with the BKBs coming out, actually you see some heroes falling, and as soon as some heroes fall in Secret, sort of you have this chain reaction where everyone starts dying, because now they can no longer cover each other with their Solar Crests. And in this fight, Secret are actually going to get killed here, and Nita are trying to buy as much time as possible. That's why he's coming up here. That's why he's force-diving up to this high ground. He knows he's going to die. There's no way he can play this out of this, but this way he can buy additional time and keep his team from having to expend buybacks. And Zai now on his way towards an AC. Of course, just in line with what we said previously, just more armor for his entire team, as well as, of course, Beastmaster himself. Now Beastmaster at 37 armor, just by default, and then he could also get some extra armor from this medallion, as well as from the Solar Crest from Invoker. Now, Solar Crest doesn't stack. If you cast 2 Solar Crests on one hero, only one of them will actually have an effect. But of course you can have just a Solar Crest in your inventory and then someone else Solar Crests you, and you get the bonus from your own Solar Crest as well as the buff. And you can also cast Solar Crest and the medallion on something, and these both bonuses then stack. Secret have a Catawave, and you see this Broodmother and this Centaur is out of position, so they can just start hitting this tower, and this tower does incredibly fast against these Wraith King skeletons, with all these auras applying to them. They find Broodmother out of position, so they go on her. Very nice roar here, coming with Beastmaster. But now they have to run with this nice combo coming out of the Centaur and the Grimstroke. And with these BKBs, it's kind of difficult to fight for Secret. They just want to try to wait these out. And if they can weather these BKBs, then they're going to be fine. Yapso bought back and was recalled by Chen. Very nice move there. And now they want to try and go for this Roshan, which is up now. And with the Broodmother being dead on NaVi, it's going to be difficult for NaVi to contest this Roshan. Of course, this Rosh goes incredibly quickly. He has so much minus armor onto him. The Solar Crest, the Medallion, and of course also Penitence. Very strong ability for Roshing. You see actually Puppey maxing out Penitence rather than Divine Favor, which you usually see from position 5 Chens these days, at least at the pro level. But this is just a really strong ability if you want to focus one hero or if you want to focus Roshan. It's 120 attack speed for everything that's hitting Roshan. So now they have this Aegis on Wraith King. Wraith King now has 3 lives. Of course, incredibly powerful, and also like Wraith King's itemization here, because he didn't go for the Radiance. You don't want to go for late Radiance. You'd rather have the Mjolnir then. It's an item that scales better. And then, of course, he went for the BKB. There's quite a bit of control coming out of the NaVi lineup. So having that in combination with the Mjolnir is quite useful. And also, if you go Mjolnir, being disabled is more of a problem. Because if you have Radiance, if you disable at least, you still have Radiance burn. But with Mjolnir, you actually have to be able to hit. So BKB is a must here. So they're smoked up. They're trying to look for some sort of initiation for someone who wants to push out the wave. But they're not finding anything quite yet. But they can just go onto this high ground, and they're just gonna really quickly try to finish this melee Rex. But there's a fortification here, so they have to back up a little bit. But they can just have Wraith King at the front here. He's incredibly tanky. He has 3 lives, so they don't have to fear for his life. And they can just back him up, and when the enemy go on him, they can be there to save him. You see Yapso bailing him out with a snowball. And Matu now still alive, hasn't used any of his ultimates or his Aegis. So they did a lot of damage onto this Rex. Unfortunately, didn't quite get it. But that's okay. They also didn't lose anything, so that's fine. And now they can just go back, heal up, and pick up those bounty runes. Also nice use of the Ogre Frostmage here, giving out armor to his teammates. Of course, a very strong creep. It was nerfed a little bit here. Now it only gives 5 armor. It used to give 8 armor at some point, but then they nerfed it twice. Now it's only 5 armor, but it's still very, very strong. As well as, of course, this nice slow that also helps against physical damage. They also have this Evolving Ripper, which is kind of an unrated creep. It gives a 3 bonus armor aura, which is really nice. And just like all these creeps together combined with all these armor items just means that everyone on the Secret has really high armor. Like this Wraith King, by default he has very low armor, but with all these items that his team have bought to back him up and give him armor, he's incredibly tanky now. And this way he can just go for these right click items, he can go for the BKBs and so on, and then his team is providing him with all the armor he needs. The siege in this high ground area, they still have this catapult up, and they buff up this catapult, give it alacrity and all these solar crests and medallions, and this catapult is sort of carrying them here. But now NaVi have had enough, so NaVi have to initiate the fight here. They have to get out of their own base and fight in the Secret, but just can't kill anything. As long as the Secret lineup stands together, as long as they use their heals, as long as they use their solar crests and medallions smartly, nothing on Secret is gonna die. So now they can just move in after clearing this fight. They're gonna kill this Rax, and from here on they're quickly going to just finish this game. So this game is an important reminder not just to go for whatever build Tortellini recommends, but just analyze the actual game you're in, look at what is your win conditions of itemization, what items they need to beat the specific lineup the enemy has, and in this game it was just get all the armor, allow this Wraith King to be the true position 1, allow him to just go for BKB and damage items, and just have his team provide him all the armor, all the utility with the attack speed and the movement speed from Solar Crest to allow this Wraith King to carry and to allow the entire team to sustain and to just weather the storm and be able to out-heal and outlast the enemy team and win those team fights. And that's why Secret are the strongest team in the world right now. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and tell your friends about this channel. And if you haven't done so, please join the fold by subscribing and clicking the bell for notifications. And as always, I'm going to leave you with 2 videos for your consideration, and Obelus willing, I'll see you there.